Hello. I'm just popping up quickly, guys, to touch base. I said I'd come live tonight, but I can see Dinky's got one scheduled. I think Harsh has. So I'm not going to stay up for long. But if anyone's around and wants to chat, I just wanted to touch base with you guys and tell you a little bit about my plans. I apologize that I haven't been around much, but my son's Christmas holidays went on till Tuesday, and then I've been catching up on work. I've tried to dip into other people's lives and say hi. But where I'm at is I said before, I'm gonna start another little channel called This and That, and we're gonna talk about other stuff, and we're gonna say hi and have chill outs and talk about all things that are, hey, batshit crazy, hello. So good to see you here. It's just a quickie. I was gonna do a proper live tonight, but I think Harsh has got one. Dinky's got one coming up. Hey Bunny, pleased to see you. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and apologize that I haven't been around. My son's Christmas went from Christmas Eve, and you can imagine all the school stuff that went on, school plays, doing costumes, all the rest of it. Then I took Sonny away for a weekend, and we did, he did, I didn't do it. I did ice skating. He did ice skating. There's no way I was getting on there. I'm too old. I'm 51, but he had a whale of a time. And then it was Christmas holidays, and I had to be Santa and all of those things. Hey, Katie, nice to see you. So I wanted to touch base with you guys tonight and tell you my plans. I haven't gone away forever. I just had to kind of get on top of things. And he only went back to school on Tuesday. And the minute they went back to school, he had to be some Welsh figure of history, and I had to find him a costume. And so in the meantime, I've tried to catch up, because that's the other thing. Hey, Cheryl, nice to see you. I had to catch up on what was going on with true crime. I've dipped in and out. Managed to do a New Year one. But yeah, so I just wanted to say I'm really sorry I haven't been around. And I want to tell you that I'm going to do some other cases. There's a British one I want to touch on. Huge scandal in Britain. I don't think you guys have had any kind of TV series about it, but we have in the UK, and it's Mr. Bates versus the post office, and it is linked, in my opinion, with the level of corruption and cover-ups that can go on. And the UK has basically had its finest moment with the post office, where you post your letters and go and post your parcels. Our post office is owned by the government, and the level of cover up that went on and how it affected people's lives, I'm disgusted, absolutely disgusted with the UK, and I'm going to cover that one. I've also looked at some other cases that, we've got. I'm quite interested. Oh God, I've got to pronounce this properly. Is it? I'm going to have to Google it. The wife who hired a hitman, apparently, Shivas. Is it Shivas? Shivas. I'm interested in that case because is it? Oh God, I can't remember the name. Rich family. She went over to the Caribbean and hired a guy to kill her husband, allegedly. I'm interested in that because there's some alarm bells that ring there. Hello. Nice to see you. There's some things there that I think we should look at, because I feel, and this is just my opinion, that she might have been in a slightly controlling environment. And there's certain things that her mother-in-law said when she called the police that she told us she was crazy and all of this stuff. I don't know. There's some stuff going on there that I'd like to look at. I'd like us all to look at it. I want to do the UK case with the post office. So, I want to kind of touch base on some new crimes, and I also want to do a live on the Gonsalves interviews. I've had some great information and timeline of all the Gonsalves interviews. I think it'd be great for us to look at those. And I do want to look at the elephants in the room, which is Dylan and Bethany. And I haven't done a video on them. I want to create one, but it's so time consuming. I haven't had a chance yet. I want to look at how law enforcement portrayed what happened with the Idaho 4 and the 2 surviving roommates initially, and what we're left with. So I want to get back to true crime. I don't want to waste time on any loser detectives anymore. I want to get back into why I started the channel in the first place. So, guys, I just wanted to say hi. I wanted to wish you all a happy new year properly. And thank you for sticking with me. I've got some catching up to do with what's going on in the Idaho 4 case. I'm not the best with documents. I feel like I studied the PCA, God, as much as I possibly could, and that all made sense to me, or didn't. But these new documents all the time, I think other channels are better off doing that than me. I'm not the best with those things. So yeah, I've got still lots of stuff to cover. I'm very wary of going over the same stuff over and over again. I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep going over and over what we've all gone over many times before. However, I do think it would serve us all well to go back to the beginning and look at all the early interviews, all the early police presses, all the stuff we were fed at the beginning, and what we now know and how they've changed. So, yeah, there we have it. I think Dinky is on, it's 9:30. Dinky, Dinky, why are you always so late? I've got to do the school run in the morning. I've got to go and pick Sonny up from his dad's first thing, then bring him home, get him ready for school, and then take him to school, and then do my job. And I'm like, Dinky, what are you doing at 11:45? But that's okay. I'm going to try my best to stay up. I don't know if you guys have noticed, Lana is out. A Truth and Transparency is actually out in Moscow, Idaho at the moment. I managed to catch her lives on replay. It was very interesting, the acoustics. Did you guys see that? Anyone see Lana's? And I think it was really interesting to see how kind of on top of each other all those houses were. And the other dog barking, I thought was really interesting. Yeah, wasn't it interesting? I was like, and do you know what I loved the most? Nothing half-assed was, she said, there's no way any vehicle could speed out of there. And I thought that was fascinating. I think it was brilliant that she was boots on the ground. I don't know if she's still there. But it's really, there's really steep hills around that house. And like she said, it's actually in a basin. It really is in a basin. How does a car speed away? And the other interesting thing she brought up was the level of door cams. Hey, Sherry. Hello. Don't worry, Sherry. I just popped up. I'm sorry. I said last night in Dago's chat I'd come live tonight, but it's not going to be a long one. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and say I'm still here. I'm really sorry I haven't been around. Christmas was long in Wales, where I am in Wales. My son only went back to school Tuesday. So, yeah, I think Lana being boots on the ground is going to show us a lot. I really, really hope she goes looking for that green Elantra. I want to see if it's a wrap I want to see if that car, because allegedly it has no front number plate. Um, and also this Chrysler 300 that Get a Clue. For me, one of the biggest boom videos out there was Get a Clue's Chrysler 300 video. If you guys have not seen that, please go and look at his video, because this car with square windows, that's nothing like a Chrysler, a Lantra, goes into Linda Lane at around 3:20, 3:30, sorry, 3:30, which means he will have, this car, I say he, I don't know who's driving the car, but this other white car will have entered the King Road area at approximately 3:29. And guess what? That matches the PCA exactly. And then it makes 3 passes. The behavior of this other white car that Get a Clue brings up matches exactly suspect vehicle one's behavior in the PCA. And I find that absolutely fascinating. You know, if law enforcement have not looked into that car, then that's a mess, in my opinion. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't watch him much. There's so many channels I have to try and catch up on. I never go over to his. I wonder if it was originally a green car, and I wonder what that car looks like at night. But did he say if it had a front number plate or not? I was interested because it looked like when the house was being demolished that there was no front number plate. Thank you. That's it. Thank you, Laurie Shaver. Yeah, there's some stuff I want to bring up with that, because I watch some mainstream media stuff. Sorry, I'm jumping around now, but I watched some mainstream media stuff on that. And since the Idaho Fall case, I'm very wary now of what mainstream media and court TV and all of those put out. And I'm very wary of just believing what they're feeding us. And of course, they're all kind of, oh, look at her behavior here. She wanted to get on that plane and go out. You know, I think, what if that mother, you know, Laurie Shaver, what if she was controlled by I want to know stuff about her background and her husband's background. What if she was controlled by that family? I just didn't like the way her mother-in-law said something like, I told her she was mental. And then, you know, oh, her parents are backing us. They think she needs help. And I thought, we're all accepting that this mother-in-law is quoting this stuff to the police. What if Laurie Shaver said to her own mum, you know, Mum, I'm struggling, and her mum thought she needs some help? You know, and that's what she quoted to the mother-in-law. So it's like, yeah, even her own mother says she needs help. We do not know the background of this family at all. All we've got is the fact that Laurie Shaver went out, you know, tried to get a boyfriend to kill her husband, allegedly. I think there's text messages, etc. I mean, she might be batshit crazy, but you know, I just think we don't know what that woman went through with that family. We have no idea. Maybe her husband had affairs for years, and finally she went, do you know what, sod you, I'm going to go and see my lover, and you can like it or lump it because I've lived with yours for years. Do you know what I mean? We don't know the background. So I'm going to look a little bit more. I watched Christina Randall's video on that case. I think she's done 2, maybe 3 videos on that case. But I think there is a dangerous tendency to believe one side of a story because he is the victim, you know, in that she has tried to allegedly get him killed. I'm not saying that's right at all, but what went on in that house? We don't know. We just don't know. Now let me see. Hi, hello, welcome. So he went to Moscow as well. Oh, I've got so much catching up to do. I really have. Um, so what's this? Nothing half-assed. I don't have any concerns about the green car. It's a female, and no one who's sneaky with a fun, bright car. Yes, but the thing is, again, this is all speculation. Somebody had looked up the VIN number and said it had a wrap, and that's the only thing I'm interested in, is if that car was originally white, and that is a huge if, a massive if. But a lot of people seem to think that that green car had a wrap on it. Yeah, I agree, Sherry. I think though that he or she did stop and talk to somebody. So, it could just be a completely innocent car, but did I'd just like to know, did it have a number plate? Did it have a front number plate? And has that car been wrapped? Somebody in a chat said that they'd looked this car up, but I wonder, how does anyone look a car up like that if there's no license plate that you can see? How do you just look up a car? I just wonder, this person said that they'd looked up the VIN number and it had originally been white and was bought at auction and had a green wrap in January after the murders. But I mean, I was reading that thinking, how do you get that information? I don't understand. So what is Carfax? I don't know what that is. Is that a site you can look things up on? We don't have that in the UK. I don't know what that is. No idea. I'm more interested personally in that white Chrysler. I mean, there's been a few boom videos, throughout this case, and that Chrysler 300 video for me, if we're to believe that the Linda Lane footage is real, that was massive to me because of the timing as well. The other thing Lana came out with was that, to her, that car driving around matches a sort of DoorDash driver who doesn't know where they're going. And as I said before, the fact that there's so many steep hills, how do you speed out of that area going downhill? I thought that was a really interesting point. Really interesting point. Do you mean the green car, batshit crazy, that we're talking about, or the Chrysler? The Chrysler 300 looks like it's a white one, and when I saw it as a clip somewhere, because I don't watch Grey Hughes, but he went out to Moscow and that Chrysler passed him by the house. So there is a white Chrysler 300 that is in the area. I urge all of you, whether you like Get a Clue and his approach or not, watch the Chrysler 300 video. That was a massive boom to me. Apparently, an Elantra. It's an Elantra with no front number plate. Hey, Bobby, pleased to see you. Yeah, you're right. Nothing half-assed. Need a plate or a VIN number, and I don't know. Oh, by the way, I did watch, once I saw that green car. I watched it on Jules of All Trade, and I did think, oh, it's a bit creepy, like she said. So I looked at as much demo footage as I could, and you can see that green car parked in flaming heck. I've got so many channels. The Law and Crime Network, Jesse's on it. Oh God, I swear I'm getting dementia. I'm like, what is it? The Law and Crime Network with Jesse. He does the drive time kind of crime thing. They covered Lawn Crime Network. They covered the demolition as well, and you could see that green car is parked behind the Queen Road apartments next to the house. You can see it's parked there. But how this person obviously it's a pinch of salt, isn't it? Taking someone's word in a chat, but they said that they had looked up the VIN number, and I thought, well, how if you can't see the license plate? I don't know, but a couple of people said they'd seen that car before. But you know what? It could be any car. I'd be honest, if I was driving past the demolition, I probably would have slowed down to take a look. Hey, Carrie Louise, good to see you. So by that, do you mean that there was no car that was involved in the incident, in the crimes? Because I'm with you 100%. And I tell you what, have you seen Lana's boots on the ground video? I have to say, those steps going up to, when we look at the big picture, right, there was a game on, it was a Vandals game, wasn't there? There was a veterans dinner the night before. How many strangers or non-inhabitants of that town were there that weekend who could have just, say a complete nutter from one of those, the game, a veterans dinner, saw Maddie and Kaylee out in the sports bar that night, followed them home, the corner club, followed them home, unalived them, left town. How do we know that it wasn't a complete and utter stranger? You know what I mean? It's like, well, there are so many examples of what could have happened, and those steps going up to the Queen Road apartments that then lead to the Linda Lane apartments. I truly do not believe that law enforcement have looked at all angles here at all. And this is just my opinion, but I don't believe that they have examined every possibility. You think about people say, wasn't there a handprint on the slider? How many handprints do we think might have been on that slider? Do we think that the inhabitants of that house were regularly cleaning the glass of the slider? How many parties they had? How many people coming and going? Do we honestly think that law enforcement tested all the DNA in that house? And if they did, if they say, for example, this is purely an example, Jack D, it's not his DNA's already in the house, so we can forget about him. And Hunter Johnson, his DNA's all over the house, so we can forget about him. Why are they, and this is speculation, but I do believe this happened, why are they ignoring the normal DNA in the house? I think they did. I think that the fact they cleared all these people so quickly, they just ignored all the DNA that was irregular in the house. I think that's what they did. I agree. There's no way. And all the shoes. Chief Fry said in a presser, one of the early pressers, that he did not know who had been summoned to the house that morning, and he didn't know how many. So have they got to if I were the defense, I'd want to know everything. I'd say, who did you test? How did you prove, for example, Jack D's alibi that he was sleeping? That's fine. He was sleeping. Prove it. How? How did you prove that? How did you prove he didn't climb out of his window and went round the back and went into the house? How? What about those runners on the Banfield? Can you give me their story, please? Because who are they? Where did they go? What did they do? If law enforcement, guess what? Their phones are pinging all over the place. I want to know where Rosie the cop went after 3:30. You know, the last police log was 3:38 a.m. Where did those cops, undercover cops, go? I'd want their alibi. They better have alibis proven for all these people. Because how do you single out one person who was driving around the area? We've got a DoorDash driving around the area. Allegedly, we've got Jack S., who left. Has that been proven? I don't know. Did they prove that Jack S. left and went to his parents at God knows what time? We've got a truck starting up at Linda Lane. We've got people walking around. We've got runners on the Banfield. I would hope that law enforcement have got solid answers for all of those people whose phones are pinging. Their phones are pinging too. I'd want to know that they have properly discounted all of those people. And I agree, Sherry. I don't think they did. They didn't test the unidentified male DNAs. Hello, Sherlock. Good to see you. It is bullshit. It's complete bullshit. I just don't feel that there can be any question. It's full of reasonable doubt. It's full of reasonable doubt. And people are, oh, you know, oh, he was driving around. That's the worst alibi. Yeah, right. Okay. So none of those people who say he was driving around and had the worst alibi, none of them question where Dylan was, for a start. None of them have said, well, where was she that night? All the pro guilty, you know, bringing up, you know, a certain channel where they're all like, you Brits, if you don't like the American justice system, well, guess what? I do. I have as much faith in it as the British justice system, which is, I wouldn't want my life on the line with either of them. But these people are saying, you know what, you don't like our system, then F off. Well, actually, I have more faith in your justice system than those people, because they cannot accept that you are innocent until proven guilty. You know, none of them do. It's like, you're all pro Brian's innocent. No, we're not pro Brian is innocent. We are pro innocent until proven guilty. And that is your justice system. So don't sit there on 101's channel saying, oh, you're all pro Coburger, you're all this, you're all that. You hate, if you don't like American justice systems, F off. It's like, no, they are anti the American justice system because they've already fired him at the wall. They've already shot Brian Coburger dead. And that is what makes my blood boil. I hope to God they've got the right man, but I can't see it. And that is a really good point, Batshit Crazy. I'd like to know that too. 2 a.m. was a dark hour. That sticks with a lot of people. That really does. I am going to bring some UK cases in. There's a couple I'd like to discuss. I do want to look at more. I'd love your guys' thoughts on our cases. There's a few that are very interesting to look at. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. It's also uncomfortable at how silent it is. It's so quiet. It is so quiet. Nobody's speaking. Nobody's saying anything. I don't know. Do you guys? Oh, this is on Netflix. Do you guys get all the Harlan Coben series? And yes, I know it's fiction, but the latest Harlan Coben series on Netflix is so fascinating because it all starts with hazing and cover-ups. And I got goosebumps watching it because it made a lot of sense to me. All the cover-ups and the the follow. It was called Fool Me Once. I think that's what it's called. Fool Me Once. Hey Lisa, nice to see you. Oh, hey, nice to see you. Yeah, this is exactly right. Now, you see, I will do a live. I'm going to do a live on the elephants in the room, which is Dylan and Bethany. I really do want to. Torn. I'm open-minded, but I think they're afraid. And I think, having watched some things, documentaries recently about Britain and the level of government cover-up that's gone on in our country, I wonder if they are afraid. What do you say, Canadian Cat Lou? Hey Nelly, out of the kids called over, I'm thinking those that entered the scene, how many of them took pictures of the young? But that's the way kids. I know. And you know what? There's no pictures come out of the party that night or anything in Sigma. And I'm going to tell you how I feel at the moment. And I do change my mind, but this has been staying with me for a while. I am more inclined to feel that Zana and Ethan were the targets, or all four. I just feel that a stalker would not have chosen that night. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I think that a stalker, if it was Maddie or Kaylee, if it was Brian Koberger, would not rock up having driven round without watching the house and just go in there not knowing who was in there. I can't buy that at all. I feel that Zana and Ethan, we know where Maddie and Kaylee were. Okay, we know where they were. We've got that mystery that, you know, what did you say to Adam? I told him everything. We've got that. We've got Jack S, in my opinion, storming off. I think he sulked or stropped off, and I don't blame him. You know, if they were all going home together or he was giving them a ride or whatever, they did ditch him for one reason or another at the grub truck. Doesn't make him a murderer, but he stomped off. He left immediately. He didn't hang around and talk to Joe V or anything. The minute it was, you know, ascertained that they'd left without him, he went. And then allegedly he drove to his parents. So I find that a little bit sus. And I would want to know if law enforcement really looked into him, checked out his car. Did they check his apartment? Did they just accept the fact he stropped off and then drove to his parents and didn't check anything? That's another. Hey, Leah, nice to see you. So I have a question mark over Jack S, because I'd want answers. I'd want it properly investigated that he was innocent. So they went home. So we knew where Maddie and Kaylee were, and they went home. The question marks are over Zana and Ethan. Though that doesn't sit comfortably with me at all. Zana and Ethan, you know, that's the story that changes. Kaylee and Maddie's story does not change. Bethany, Dylan, Zana, and Ethan's stories all change. I'm going to leave you with that thought. I'll have a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. Yes. I think Get a Clue said, I tried to catch up on some of his stuff. He said that you've got to think like the jury, and I completely agree with that. You've got to go in and think like the jury. And he also said, forget that there's more to come. Of course, there might be more to come, but I really have a problem that there might be, because we've got a grand jury with, was it 6 people who were underwhelmed? And oh God, this thing I watched today, it's a true British story about our British government and the post office, and the levels they went to in a huge cover-up to save face was disgusting. Disgusting. Hundreds of people wrongly accused of stealing money, and the power these people were up against, and they fought every step of the way, and it was all to save the face of the British Post Office. It was disgusting. I don't know if there are any Brits in here who know about that, but people are naive to think that cover-ups to save face, to save towns, to save their asses don't happen everywhere. It's just naive to think it doesn't happen. Hi, Evie. Nice to see you. Hello. I agree 100%, Sherry. That's how I think. Have you guys seen, again, this is what I do. I suddenly goes to bed and I lay on the couch to chill out, and I just indulge in true crime. And I saw I Am a Stalker. Have you guys seen that on Netflix? That's a newish one. And there's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 stories on there. And all of these stalkers, they weren't peeping Toms. So I think they're kind of wrong to insinuate anyway that Koberger's a stalker. Stalkers are quite open about texting, social media, turning up on doorsteps, following them, turning up at the bar they're in. I would recommend all you guys watch I Am a Stalker on Netflix if you've got Netflix. It's fascinating, and I can't put Brian there. So I think what law enforcement want us to believe is that Koberger was a peeping Tom, that, like in the sort of, as we know, the serial killer sense. Not I was surprised. I was surprised watching that show, and the stalkers were surprised. It's brilliant. They interview the stalkers, and they're in prison, and it's a harsh sentence. That's it, Leah. I Am a Stalker, and it's in the true crime documentary. It is a fascinating watch, and it is about men mainly, but there is a woman involved who stalks. I then looked it up, that stalking is if you make 2 or more unwanted contacts with someone. So it's like, say, for example, your ex, you finished with your ex and you say, I don't want you to contact me. And they text you and you say, I don't want you to contact me anymore. And they text you again. That starts to become stalking. So it's more about unwanted contact. So we have these stalkers and their victims talking. Some didn't want to be named or shown, but it's like it's obsession. It's obsession. So it could be, none of them didn't know their victims. They all had relationships of some kind or another with their victims. So it made me think about Koberger and the fact that, as far as we know, and according to Anne Taylor, there was no link. There was no link on social media. There was no connection. Every one of these stalkers on the Netflix documentary, and I'm not saying that is the golden rule, but all of them had had relationships with these people and couldn't let go, basically. They could not let go of people they had either been involved with or been on dates with or slept with. And it was, they'd hang out on their front porches, they'd do drive-bys, they'd text them like 30, 40 texts. It's like they couldn't accept it was over. That whole documentary is about that kind of behavior. So I started thinking about Kohberger and thought, right, okay, Kohberger, I think, therefore, law enforcement and the prosecution are trying to make him out to be really rare, actually, like really Bundy rare, serial killer rare. But if it's him, up until that point, as far as we know, he's not a serial killer. He's taken on 4 for first attempts and has had no connection with any of them, according to Ann Taylor. And that made me think how rare this scenario is. We have no record of Kohberger stalking anyone. He's had a couple of awkward dates, or he might not be lad about town and gets on with the ladies or gets it on with the ladies. Doesn't make him what the prosecution want us to think he is. They want us to think he's Bundy, BCK. These people they want us to believe he is are really quite rare in the grand scheme of things. Most homicides like this, these passionate homicides, are people they know. And we can't get away from that. We cannot get away from that. It's family. I think you've got more chance of a child killing a parent or a parent killing a child than you have it being a Bundy type scenario, or a brother killing a sister, or an ex killing an ex. I personally believe it is, people call us conspiracy theorists for questioning this case, when actually I feel that the prosecution are feeding us a conspiracy theory, a serial killer theory, a man whose phone pinged 12 times in Moscow, Idaho between August and November. The shopping's better. I had an email from I'm going to actually, I've said it before, I'm sorry, I'm really slow at these things, but I had a great email from one of my viewers who said actually the shopping is better, and went into great detail about why the shopping's better in Moscow. I think they are really reaching, in my opinion, they are really asking us to believe the rarest scenario. The rarest scenario, that we've got some pervert that's got no history of anything like this. He's got no record other than stealing his sister's phone. Yeah, he had a problem with drugs. I can pretty much put money on it that most of those students in that area did recreational drugs of some kind or another. They're asking us to believe that this was a Bundy type situation, when actually the motives elsewhere are stronger. That's how I feel. And I mean it. I hope they've got more. I hope they've got a lot more in this case. I would love it. But my problem with that is I was expecting the car to be the rolling petri dish that mainstream media said it was going to be. I was expecting that to be the prosecution's boom. It was like, yeah, there's DNA, there's victim DNA in the car, there's victim DNA in his apartment, even down to him sorting out the trash. They said, mainstream media said, there were headlines, he was caught disposing of evidence. Those were their words. So what evidence? Why didn't they tell us what evidence it was? Where's the evidence? What evidence? What was he getting rid of? No, funnily enough, they didn't tell us. They won't tell us because there was no evidence. Are you telling me he went through the neighbour's trash? Oh, sorry, he went through his trash and apparently disposed of evidence in the neighbour's trash before the PCA came out. Are you telling me they would not have put that in the PCA if it existed? Yeah, we caught him disposing of bloody gloves. We caught him disposing of the weapon. We caught him disposing of his bloody Dickies onesie, his overalls in the neighbour's trash. Nothing, nada. And that was it. It was all a mainstream media push. It was a push. He was in his shorts with gloves on, sorting out the trash. Can I tell you, where I live in Wales, my life is spent organising my trash because we have got such strict recycling laws. I've got a food bin, which, you know, I'll be honest, I don't wear gloves. I'm a non-glove person. I don't have that kind of OCD, but I can tell you a lot of my friends do. They don't want to touch old meat going into the food bin without gloves on. So we've got a food bin, we've got a plastics bin, we've got a paper bin, and we've got a cardboard bin, and we've got a general waste bin. That is 5 different bins that we have to organise. Oh, and a glass bin. That's 6. We only get the general waste collection once every 3 weeks, and we're only allowed 3 bags of it. So we're allowed a bag a week of general waste. That leaves us with 5 different types of trash that we have to it drives me insane. I understand it. I back it. Let's recycle. But geez, I spent my whole life going, oh, flattening the cardboard. That's in the cardboard bag. Then I've got to wash all the plastic and put it in the plastic bin. Then I've got the food bin, which actually I also hate touching after a week. You know, you've got a week's worth of food going in there and it goes in the food bin that locks. And then you've got the glass bin. This is every week of my life. And they are trying to make us feel that Brian Koberger wearing gloves, sorting out the trash was weird. Not if it's like here, it's not. But you say that, Kate, what if the knife was in the trash? Wouldn't they put that in the PCA? Wouldn't they have said, you know what, we found the weapon in the trash? But I tell you where it could have been, Kate. He was in the trash outside 1122 King Road that they ignored for weeks and weeks and weeks. Months, was it? Every footage I saw, there was a trash bin outside the back of 1122. It had pizza boxes, everything. They didn't even bother going through it. And the other thing I couldn't get my head around is they pick up that black coat. Could have been anyone's coat. Now, listen, that might not have been the coat that Maddie Mogan was wearing, okay? Looked very similar, but there's a lot of black jackets out there. But what if that was the perp's coat? What if that coat had blood on it from the scene? Those cops, the next day, walking around, pick up that coat and toss it back. What was that? What was that? You what? So there's a random piece of clothing and you're just going to throw it back. Could have been anything on that coat. There could have been victim hair. There could have been semen. There could have been sweat. There could have been anything on that jacket, but they didn't bother to look at it, like they did not bother to go through the trash at the back of the house. And the other thing I find really weird now, I didn't, as times evolved, every time I see anyone in Idaho, boots on the ground, it's 1122 King Road. Queen Road. Every time I see that house referred to now, it's Queen Road. Why was it King Road? I don't understand. Is that just coincidence that they just kind of muck about with king and queen? I don't understand. There's so much wrong with this case, and I will never be ashamed of asking the questions. And I love this community because we do. And this thing I saw today about Great Britain, not so great anymore, or was it ever? Who knows? But this one Mr. Bates, who persevered for over 20 years against our post office, which is owned by he took on the government and he won. If he hadn't asked the questions, if he hadn't kept asking and pushing and fighting for justice, is that what all these other creators, all these others, but these certain creators who mock us and diss us because they all think we're pro Coburg and they're so blinkered, they can't understand that actually we're asking questions about things that do not make sense to us because we believe in your justice system. We believe that anybody is innocent until proven guilty. And that is the point. Sometimes I struggle with other cases, where, for example, Taylor Schabusiness and Quentin Simon's case and Letitia Stauch or whatever she's called. I don't know how to pronounce her surname. I'm sorry, but I've looked at those cases and my blood's boiling immediately, where I'm like, oh my God, you've so obviously done this. I have to remind myself in those cases that they're innocent till proven guilty, even though the evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. I still make myself take a step back and think, you got to wait here. You've just got to not jump to conclusions here, even though this seems pretty like an open and shut case. I'm going to wait till the trial and I'm going to listen to what we're shown. And it's so important that we all do this. And there's no shame in that. It's how we should all be. What does Nothing Half-Assed say here? They had overflowing dumps today. It was picked up. Yeah, but the small bin at the back. I'll see if I can find the photo. There was a small bin at the back of 1122, and that stayed there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Weeks and weeks. Let me just see. I've probably got it somewhere already saved, but I don't even know what I've saved anymore. Let me just see if I can find an image. Let me see, is that? Just by the sofa it was at the back of the house. I might have to bring it up another time because this might take some time to find, but this bin was out the back for so long. I know when JLR went there, what was it called? The interview room went there. This bin was still sitting up. Here we are. I have found it. I wonder. Let me see. Big Country News. This was, hang on, updated. Yeah, this was February, okay? Whether it was an old photo or not, let me see if I can share this with you. I wonder if I can just bear with me, guys. I'm going to see if I can just share the link. I'm not the best at these, so let me see if I can. Right, I'm in here. There should be a what's that? New layout. Don't want that. Oh God, settings. Nope. I don't know if this is going to work. Can I share a link or can you guys see that? Why can't I find share? Oh God, I really need to get more into what I'm. Oh, present. Let's try this. Present. Share screen. Hang on. Ah, here we are. Look, I can do it. Can you see that, guys? You see that? There's the trash. You see it? That was February. You see all this? This that stayed there for quite some time. Quite some time. Weeks and weeks and weeks. So I would like to know, if I were on the jury and asked the defence, whether that was ever sorted through. Did they ever go through that trash? The weapon could be at the bottom of that bin. I don't care. If they did go through it, why is it still sitting there? Because someone could add something to it afterwards. They only sealed off the back of the property, what, days after? I know they had a car parked out the front. Who knows if there was anyone out the back? I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I think it was shit police work, deliberately or not deliberately. I'm not sure. But I'd like to know if that rubbish, that trash, went through. Well, that is a great point. That was sitting there, what, pretty much till it was demolished. I don't think they ever really looked for that weapon. I just don't. I understand that, needle in a haystack. Can you drive round where you think this suspect vehicle went or not? Can you drive around all those places and, start looking for a knife? It could be in the bottom of a river. I understand that, but you've got to search places that are right in front of you, surely. I agree, Sherlock. This is talking about the house about to be demolished. Look at the trash. Do you know what? If you were the perp, you could have buried that knife in this here, behind the couch, in that dirt. And I don't think law enforcement even bothered looking anywhere. Hello, Cheryl. Nice to see you. Yeah, I think you've got a point there, Lisa. I don't think they've got the right perp at all. That's just my opinion. I hope they have. I truly hope they have. I am not pro Coburger. I'm pro justice. And I really, truly believe that this investigation is a mess at the best. I'm prone to believing it's a bloody cover up, frankly. I think I personally am leaning, just my opinion, towards them just being blinkered, just desperate to blame someone. And they made it fit. As Harsh said, square peg, round hole. I think they thought they might have had the right guy. And as time's gone on, it's like, oops, this isn't quite working out. And they can't back out. There's a chance it's that, or there's a chance it's a bloody great cover up. But I can't, with what we've been told, buy that it's Brian Koberger. I can't buy that right now. I think it would be amazing if in the trial we get that boom, that, oh my God, this is what they were holding back all along, and they did it for this reason, and they had the right guy all along. I would love that to happen, but I just can't. I can't at the moment. I can't at the moment. Even Coffin Daffer. And by the way, I do not watch News Nation. Is she still around? Do you know what's wonderful is when you actually ignore and seriously ignore the people that bug the shit out of you, they actually don't exist. So Ashley Bamfield and Coffin Duffer, I've no idea if they even exist anymore. I will admit I did delve into a bit of Detective John, even though I said I wouldn't, because I watched Illuminati's video and I watched a bit of Rock Chalk on his channel, and it was Sweet Justice. But as far as I'm concerned, he can say what he wants about me. I don't care anymore. That's fine. And as for Coffin Daffer and Bamfield, I mean, they could be working in Walmart now for all I know. I've no idea. It's lovely. It's great. It's like, who are these people? I don't know. But they said quite clearly, there's going to be evidence in the car, without a doubt. And I was waiting for that. For me, I wanted it. I was like, come on, prove to me now. Prove to me that this is the guy. And I'm like, it's not there. There's no connection and there's no evidence. There's no DNA anywhere. And that just made it stink even more. So let's see. I think it's probably more likely that they ran with that tip and made the scenario fit to him. Yeah, of course it's possible. I just can't reconcile in my head that there was a motive, that there's a connection. And I just personally can't see him being slick enough or brave enough to go into a house where he didn't really know who was in there, because if that was his car driving around, he wasn't even watching the house. He just kind of drove around, rocked up and went in and was prepared to do it. But I'm not saying, maybe he did. Maybe he's that crazy. Maybe he is that psycho and it all came out that night, or he planned. My problem is if he planned it for ages. Yeah, you're right. I am too. I am definitely trying to keep an open mind. But my problem is, if he planned it, he'd have done a better job. I personally don't think this was planned. I think a hatred grew in someone and they freaked out, they flipped out. Right, let's put it this way. If it's someone else, it could have been planned. If it was Koberger, I do not believe it was planned, because he wouldn't have driven his car past all those cameras. He would not have taken his phone. I've asked it a million times. Why would he need his phone? So let's think about it. He would not need maps. He would not need Google Maps. He would not need his GPS if he'd stalked the property 12 times already. So he doesn't need his phone for directions. According to the PCA and what we know, he didn't call anyone, did he? There's no All they've got is pings. So why would he need his phone? Why? There's no photos taken because Ann Taylor wouldn't have brazenly said there's no connection to the victims. So if he'd planned it, I truly believe a criminology PhD student would have left his phone home for a start and probably would have avoided driving around that neighborhood for hours. Um, the knife sheath, yeah, I've got my theories on that. He could have dropped it. But the problem with the knife sheath is law enforcement's stories don't fit. But yeah, you're right, Sherry. Why not a burner phone? But why would he need a burner phone? For what? If you're going in to murder someone, why do you need your phone anyway? I don't understand why he'd need a phone. If he's alone in this, why would he need a phone? So yes, if he was, let's say, this is purely, an example. Say he and Kopaka were in it together. This is purely an example. They would have a burner phone, wouldn't they? Koberger wouldn't go, you know what, I'm going to text you on my phone and hope I don't get caught while I drive my car around for quite a while. So if it was premeditated, I feel, I can't say 100% because he might be dim, but Catherine Ramsland says he's far from dim, one of the brightest students she's had. So if he premeditated this, I don't believe he would have made those mistakes. I just don't believe it. If he did it in a wild, rash kind of decision, say he was driving around and suddenly thought, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go in there and do this, and I don't care what the consequence is. Well, okay. But he's got no history of violence. Yeah, it's possible. We can't write it off. It's possible. But he still was crazy enough to go into that house not knowing what was going on in the house, who was really in the house. If they say he was in suspect vehicle number 1, he'd have been driving round and round town, suddenly parked up, went in, prepared to take on whoever with a knife and holding the knife sheath in the other hand. Oh, and according to Coffin Duffer, he probably, and Steve Gonzalez, possibly had a kill kit. Doesn't make sense to me. Not at all. So who knows? It's going to be interesting, this trial, because I don't know what we're going to be fed, what we're going to be allowed to, it's worrying that, we're not going to probably see parts of it that should be seen, perhaps. I don't know how it's going to go down, but I don't think we're going to be shown the whole truth in this trial. That's my opinion. So there we have it. And I'm looking at the time. It's 10:30. I'm not sure is it harsh? Let me just check. I think I've got some notifications on. Is it harsh? He's got a live shortly. Yeah, he's up in a quarter of an hour. Idaho 4, red flags and results under duress. And then we've got Dinky at 11:45. I'm going to do my best to stay up for Dinky. I don't know whether I'll be able to stay awake, but the lives that I'm going to have coming up, I want to do, what I want to do is put together a video, and I apologize. I keep saying this. It is really me trying to find the time between parenting and working. I'm going to try and put together a like a more, not a creative video, but you know, a sort of, not a live, a video of the surviving roommates, their story from start to finish, and we're going to and then we'll do a live and discuss, you know, what we think's gone on there. Even though it's kind of old ground, I want to go back and look at the early stuff and what we were told. And also, thank you to Eddie. Great idea that we go back over Steve's videos, Steve Gonsalves's interviews. I want to see what he said from start to finish to where we're at now, and that'd be great for us to examine that. Also, guys, you did know that Rosie is still with Moscow PD, don't you? I did put it at the end of one of my videos a couple of months ago, because it was going around, you know, that Rosie has vanished. And I decided to look into, you know, the undercover cop, Sherry, Rosie Rosendahl. He was the undercover cop that night, the one who took a photo of Kaylee's ID. I can't find him on any staffing list, but he popped up on Facebook in July. And I did put it at the end of one of my videos. He was he with Blaker, rescuing a kitten from a Coke machine. So everyone was like, up until a month or so, oh, Rosie mysteriously vanished. He has kind of, but he popped up on their Facebook, which I thought was, let me see if I can find it. It was back in July. Let me see. I wanted you guys to see this. Oh, I can't get in right now. No, hang on. I can't do it right now. I will find the photo. I'll put it in my community page. Yeah, so Rosie is still there. Hi, American Princess. I'm about to shut down now, guys. Thank you very much for supporting me. I know I've been a terrible hostess or host. Are we allowed to say hostess anymore? But guess what, guys? I identify as a female. I identify as a woman. Happy to be called a hostess. I've been terrible, but I'm so pleased you all are still here. Thank you so much for your continued support. I really will be back on this. It's really difficult. I know Dinky's touched on it as well. It takes ages to make a video. It takes ages to upload a video. And when you're trying to work and get your son to school or entertain him over the Christmas holidays and do Christmas for your whole family by yourself and cook all the dinners and everything, and yeah, catch up, then you're like behind, so you're trying to catch up, and before you know it, your own channel has suffered. So thank you everyone for turning up tonight. Thank you, so good to see you all. I'm gonna get my ass organized, and what is it, 11:15? I'm gonna try and stay up for Dinkies. I'll do my best. But thank you so much, everyone. I will see you all soon. And lots of love to you all. I love you all. You're fab. You're a great community. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.